Take a quiet breath before you continue, because this message is not loud, rushed, or demanding. It is gentle, intentional, and meant for a small number of people who have reached this moment not by accident, but by awareness. If you are here right now, it simply means you noticed something others overlooked. You paused when others rushed. You listened when others scrolled away. That alone says something important about you. Most people move through life on autopilot. They react instead of reflect. They chase noise instead of meaning. They look for signs only when they are desperate, but ignore them when life feels normal. You are different, not because you are better, but because you are more aware. Awareness is quiet. It doesn't shout. It waits for those who are ready to notice it. Passing does not mean perfection. It does not mean you never doubted, never struggled, or never felt lost. Passing means that even during confusion, something inside you stayed awake. You questioned things. You felt there was more beneath the surface. You sensed that timing matters, that moments carry weight, and that not everything meaningful arrives with explanation. Right now, this is one of those moments. Life has been slowly teaching you how to listen inwardly instead of constantly seeking answers outside. Situations you didn't understand before have been shaping your patience. Delays have been building your trust. Silence has been strengthening your clarity. What once felt like waiting was actually preparation. Many people fail not because they are incapable, but because they rush past moments like this. They ignore pauses. They dismiss stillness. They think nothing important can happen unless it feels dramatic. But real change often begins quietly, with a shift in awareness rather than a sudden event. This message is not asking you to fear anything. It is not warning you of loss. It is reminding you of presence. Right now, you are exactly where you need to be to receive clarity. Not answers to everything, but enough understanding to take the next calm step forward. Trust that you don't need to force anything. What is meant to unfold will do so naturally, at the right pace. Your role is simply to stay attentive, grounded, and open. The more you resist rushing, the clearer things become. The more you choose calm over reaction, the stronger your inner guidance grows. If you felt recently like something is shifting inside you, that's not random. It's awareness expanding. You're beginning to see patterns instead of problems. Meaning instead of pressure. Direction instead of confusion. This is how growth actually feels, subtle, steady, and deeply personal. Before moving on, take one more breath. Let this moment settle. You don't need to do anything immediately. Just recognize that you notice this for a reason, and that noticing itself is progress. What you are experiencing right now is not excitement, and it is not confusion either. It is recognition. Something inside you already knows that this moment carries meaning, even if your mind cannot fully explain it yet. That quiet sense of recognition is the reason very few people ever reach this point. Most walk past it because they are too busy searching for loud signs, dramatic changes, or instant answers. You were never meant to be rushed into understanding. Growth does not happen in chaos. It unfolds slowly, in layers, when the soul feels safe enough to receive it. That is why your journey may have felt slower than others. That is why certain doors didn't open when you wanted them to. Those delays were not rejections, they were protection, shaping you into someone who could handle clarity without losing peace. Many people fail not because they lack strength, but because they avoid stillness. Stillness forces honesty. It removes distractions. It brings you face to face with who you really are and what truly matters. You stayed. You listened. You allowed silence to teach you. That alone separates you from the crowd more than any achievement ever could. Right now, you may notice that your priorities are changing. Things that once consumed your energy no longer feel important. Conversations feel different. Goals feel deeper. You may even feel slightly disconnected from people or situations that once felt familiar. This is not loss. This is alignment. When awareness grows, misaligned things naturally fall quiet. Passing this moment does not mean your life will suddenly become perfect. It means you are learning how to respond instead of react. It means you are beginning to trust timing instead of forcing outcomes. It means you are no longer desperate for validation because you are slowly finding stability within yourself. You might wonder why this message reached you now. The answer is simple: you are ready to receive it without fear. You no longer need urgency to pay attention. You no longer need pressure to listen. Calm understanding has replaced panic, and patience has replaced impulse. This is what maturity of the soul looks like. There will still be challenges ahead. Awareness does not remove difficulty, but it changes how difficulty affects you. Problems no longer feel like attacks, they feel like lessons. Delays no longer feel like punishment, they feel like guidance. Even uncertainty begins to feel manageable when you stop fighting it and start observing it. Very few people understand this stage, because it does not come with applause. There is no announcement. No one tells you that you have grown. The only proof is internal. You feel steadier. You question less. You trust more. And when doubt appears, it does not stay long, because you no longer feed it with fear. This message is not here to tell you what to do next. It is here to remind you how far you have already come. Sometimes progress is invisible until you pause long enough to notice it. You did not arrive here by chance. You arrived here by choosing awareness again and again, even when it felt uncomfortable. As you move forward, remember this: you do not need to explain your journey to anyone. Not everyone is meant to understand it. Some people are still learning how to listen. You already know how. That is why you passed. That is why you are here. And that is why this moment matters more than it appears on the surface. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay aware. Everything else will align when it is meant to. Be why now, you may have noticed that something within you has become quieter, but stronger. It is not the silence of confusion, it is the silence of understanding. When the noise fades, truth has space to speak. This is why most people never reach this stage. They fill every gap with distractions, opinions, and constant motion, leaving no room for awareness to grow. What you are stepping into now is not a reward, but responsibility. Awareness brings clarity, and clarity brings choice. You begin to see patterns more clearly, patterns in people, patterns in situations, patterns in your own reactions. This is not meant to make you judgmental, it is meant to make you discerning. Discernment is wisdom applied gently. You may start to feel a strange mix of peace and discomfort at the same time. Peace because you finally understand yourself better, and discomfort because growth requires letting go of familiar versions of yourself. The old habits, the old fears, the old ways of seeking approval begin to feel heavy. Not wrong, just outdated. At this stage, you are learning a powerful truth: not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Some things exit because their role is complete. Some connections fade because they were only meant to carry you part of the way. This does not mean they were meaningless. It means they served their purpose, and now your path continues forward. You might also notice that your emotional reactions are changing. Situations that once triggered anxiety now invite reflection instead. Arguments no longer feel necessary. Proving yourself feels exhausting rather than satisfying. This shift is subtle, but it is profound. It shows that you are no longer living on the surface of experiences, you are understanding their deeper meaning. Most people fail here because they mistake calm for stagnation. They believe that if life is not dramatic, nothing important is happening. But the most significant transformations are quiet. Seeds grow underground long before anything is visible above the surface. What you are building now is not meant to impress others, it is meant to sustain you. You may feel alone at times, not because you lack people, but because your inner world has expanded beyond small talk and surface-level connections. This loneliness is not a punishment. It is an invitation to strengthen your relationship with yourself. When you learn to sit comfortably with your own thoughts, external validation loses its power over you. Passing this stage does not mean you have all the answers. It means you are finally asking the right questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift changes everything. Life stops feeling like something that happens to you and starts feeling like something you participate in consciously. You may also begin to sense that timing matters more than force. Things fall into place when resistance ends. This does not mean you stop trying, it means you stop rushing. You act with intention instead of urgency. You move with patience instead of pressure. This alignment creates a steadiness that nothing external can shake easily. Remember, very few people reach this level of awareness because it requires honesty. Honest reflection is uncomfortable. It exposes illusions. It removes excuses. But it also frees you. You are no longer trapped in cycles of blame or regret. You begin to take ownership of your choices without carrying unnecessary guilt. This part of the journey is about integration. You are learning to balance logic with intuition, ambition with peace, effort with trust. Extremes soften. Balance becomes the goal. When balance enters your life, clarity follows naturally. You did not pass because you were perfect. You passed because you were willing to grow. You stayed present when it would have been easier to escape. You listened when it would have been easier to ignore. And because of that, your foundation is stronger than you realize. What comes next will build on this awareness. Not suddenly, not loudly, but steadily. Trust that pace. Trust that process. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what comes next without losing yourself in the process. By the time you reach this moment, something fundamental has already shifted inside you. You may not be able to explain it clearly to others, but you can feel it in the way you breathe, in the way your thoughts slow down, and in the way your heart reacts differently than it used to. This is not excitement. This is grounding. And grounding is what allows real change to stay. What you are experiencing now is not the end of a journey, but the stabilization of it. Many people touch awareness briefly and then fall back into old patterns because they rushed to label the experience instead of living it. You are doing the opposite. You are letting it settle. You are allowing understanding to become part of who you are, not just something you visited for a moment. At this stage, you may notice that your priorities feel clearer without you forcing them. You begin to recognize what truly matters to you and what only mattered because you were taught to care about it. The noise of comparison starts losing its grip. Other people's timelines no longer feel like a threat. You stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. You also begin to understand that peace does not mean the absence of challenges. It means the absence of unnecessary inner conflict. Problems may still appear, but they no longer shake your sense of self. You respond instead of react. You listen instead of defend. This emotional maturity is rare, and it is earned through reflection, not luck. One of the most important realizations at this stage is that control is often disguised as fear. The need to control outcomes, people, or timing usually comes from not trusting yourself to adapt. As that trust grows, control naturally loosens. You stop gripping life tightly and start cooperating with it. This is where flow replaces force. You may find that your intuition feels sharper now. Not louder, but clearer. It doesn't shout, it nudges. It doesn't demand. It guides. You start trusting that inner guidance because it has proven itself through experience. When you follow it, things align more smoothly. When you ignore it, you feel the resistance immediately. This awareness becomes your internal compass. Another quiet change happens in how you view setbacks. Instead of seeing them as signs that something is wrong, you begin to see them as adjustments. Life redirects you not to punish you, but to protect you from paths that no longer serve who you are becoming. This understanding removes bitterness and replaces it with acceptance. You also begin to notice how energy matters more than words. You sense sincerity, hesitation, and intention beyond what people say. This doesn't make you suspicious, it makes you perceptive. You stop taking things personally and start seeing behavior as information rather than judgment. As this awareness deepens, compassion grows, not just for others, but for yourself. You forgive your past mistakes without excusing them. You acknowledge your growth without arrogance. You hold both accountability and kindness at the same time. This balance is what keeps growth sustainable. Instead of exhausting, you may realize that you no longer need constant reassurance to keep moving forward. Confidence becomes quieter, steadier, and less performative. You don't need to announce your progress. You feel it. And that feeling is enough. This part of the journey is about integration, bringing together who you were, who you are, and who you are becoming into one honest self. There is no fragmentation here. No pretending. No pressure to be perfect. Just alignment. Most people never reach this place because it requires patience. It requires sitting with uncertainty without rushing to escape it. It requires trusting the process even when there is no immediate reward. You stayed. You observed. You learned. That is why you passed. What comes next will not arrive dramatically. It will arrive naturally, through opportunities that feel right instead of urgent, through connections that feel calm instead of intense, and through choices that feel aligned instead of forced. You will recognize them because they won't require you to abandon yourself. Remember this: growth that lasts is quiet, steady, and rooted. You are not meant to rush forward blindly. You are meant to move forward consciously. And now, you have the awareness to do exactly that. This is not a message about becoming someone new. It is about finally becoming yourself, without fear, without pressure, and without needing permission. If this message resonated with you, stay connected. Take a moment to reflect, and if you feel guided, leave a quiet comment with a single word that describes how this made you feel. Subscribe only if you want more moments like this, calm, thoughtful, and meaningful. And most importantly, don't rush away. Sometimes the most powerful changes begin by simply staying present a little longer.